and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. And the meeting is called to order. Now, I know for the record that all board members are present. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we have a robust agenda, so we'll work through it as prudently as possible. So we will I move to approve the minutes from the January 14th, 2025 board meeting.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. And the chair will take privilege at this point. Today is Ms. Chappelle's last meeting with us. And we have a special guest, County Council person Meredith Turner, who's come to present a proclamation. And the chair recognizes Ms. Turner. If you would please come forth with your presentation. And then after Ms. Turner gives her presentation, then we'll go back. You're not released. There's still work to do. You have to stay to the bitter end. And if you stay and do your work to the end, we may have something else for you.
Oh, my
The
goodness.
chair recognizes Councilman Turner.
Thank you.
No early release.
Oh, my goodness.
To the distinguished members of the board, Director Pilati, Chairman, good morning.
Morning.
Morning. This is such an honor to be here in this role. I see all my other bosses out there. They wait to tell me to do something, but not this time. Ina Joe, David Chappelle. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, sis.
Hey, Sarah.
We are proud members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority together. You're my friend and you've been my mentor. And I'm so excited that you'll be getting a rest. I'm sad it's at this time when we really need you, but I would like to recognize and celebrate a true champion of democracy, Ina Joe David Chappelle. For years, you have been a pillar of integrity, leadership, and dedication in ensuring that every voice in Cuyahoga County is heard through the power of the ballot box. As chair of Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, you have led with vision and clear commitment to fair and transparent and accessible elections. Your leadership has strengthened the very foundation of democracy. Beyond our county, your influence extends across Ohio. You chaired the Ohio Board of Voting Machine Examiners, where you have played a key role in ensuring the security and reliability of our election system. Your work has safeguarded the democratic process for all of us. Ina Joe, you have been both dedicated as a public servant and a trailblazer, a Black female in election administration. That's something. You have uplifted communities, expanded voter access, and inspired others, including myself, to engage in civic leadership. Remember that call? Should I do it? Well, look what happened. Thank you for the encouragement and belief in me. On behalf of Cuyahoga County and the many voters whose voices you've empowered, I extend my deepest gratitude for your years of service and wish you all the best in your next chapter. And I would like to present this proclamation of recognition on behalf of myself.
Thank you so much. Mr. Bennett?
Oh, we're right there, yeah, it's nice.
But you know, I'm the new finance and budget chair. Yeah, that's what I say.
That's nice.
Doing everybody?
Come on, everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Wait a minute.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for this.
Nice. Appreciate that.
You know, period.
Oh, it's okay.
Period.
That's right.
Thank you, directors.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'll leave those.
Oh, God.
Thank you so much. On my way out of here, I was to office.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Turner.
Yeah.
All right, so we will go back to work and move into agenda item number 2. I move to acknowledge the following Secretary of State directives. Directive 25 -02 related to data collection, notice and cancellation procedures. Deputy Director Gallagher will give us more insight on that directive when we have new business. And I also move to acknowledge Directive 2025-21. Updates to the election official manual, and those updates are delineated in items B1 through 18, all inclusive.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. And we'll move to Deputy Director Gallagher to tee up our discussion on the voting activity for Ava Ferretti.
Yeah, I wanted to make the board aware of something that we recently learned. It appears a voter has voted both in Cuyahoga County and Athens County. On election day, Ms. Parenti voted a provisional ballot here in Cuyahoga County at her polling location. As part of the provisional verification process, we contacted Athens County to confirm that, which was the county she was registered in at the time, to confirm that she had not voted in that election. At the time, Athens County sent us written notification that confirmation that she had not voted in their county. And we went ahead and verified and processed her provisional ballot. It was open for verification and it was tabulated as such. Several weeks later, we learned through the cross-county verification process that Ms. Parenti had in fact voted early in person in Athens County, and Athens County realized that they had made a mistake and that they had missed it. After talking with them, they said we went ahead and we contacted the Secretary of State's office, make them aware of the situation, as well as sent a letter to Ms. Parenti notifying her that documents show that she voted in both counties and asking her to call us up and give us some clarification regarding it. And we also included a January 31st deadline with that. She did not respond to us. We contacted the Secretary of State's office. And also at the time too, because some of the Data Act deadlines were coming up, we wanted to get some clarification as far as for the time being, should she be considered registered in Cuyahoga County or Athens County? And, as far as voter history, where we'll go. And they said at the time, we'll wait and see if she responds. And then after she didn't, we just gave them the update and are still waiting direction regarding where to proceed with her from that standpoint. So
Where does she live? Is she a resident of our county? Is she a resident?
well,
down
she
there?
was, at one time she was registered in Cuyahoga County, then she registered in Athens County, possibly a student, we don't know,
Oh.
And then in her provisional envelope, she re-registered in Cuyahoga
Oh.
County.
Mhm.
So that was kind of where we're at with the situation at this point.
And she voted twice.
Yes.
Okay. All right, board, any other questions for Deputy Director?
No, I just, we talked about what the process is. I mean, we don't have to do anything else except make a referral, or do we need to, this is, when people don't even respond, when you respond, it seems to be evidence of some good faith. Maybe I made a mistake, maybe there was some, countervailing consideration or something, but when there's even no response, it seems to me it's sort of almost like an automatic kind of referral, but I think we were deferring to the director and deputy to make that, or do we need to make it after recommendation from you?
Yes, if they give us the facts and then we make the recommendations. So I move that we refer Ms. Parenti to the Secretary of State Department on Division on Election Integrity. Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It is so ordered. Thank you. And Chair acknowledges Director Perlotti to tee up our municipal ward boundaries for Cleveland.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Our staff here had started talking about City of Cleveland, redistricting at towards the end of last year, 2024, it's something per their charter. After every census, Cleveland needs to go in, look at their population based on those numbers, and then adjust accordingly. The data that came in from the 2020 census didn't come in till late 2021, and into which 2021 was the last time that Cleveland was on the ballot. So it wasn't there in time for their charter to have any changes for that election, but then it says in their charter that they basically need to have things in place for the next time the municipal offices appear on the ballot, which is this year in 2025. They have a June filing deadline. And so we had made City of Cleveland Council aware that there was going to be a statewide election this May, which wasn't the typical pattern. And because of that, we needed to get these ward boundary lines to us in time for this May election. Just because with the turnaround from May to then a June filing deadline for their offices and into November, there would not be time after this May election to be able to do the work that we needed to do. Cleveland was responsible for the ward boundaries. The Board of Elections has nothing to do with the ward boundaries. And so they went ahead and they made those changes and had introduced legislation in January in which they approved it. Then it does come over to us and we are responsible for drawing the precinct lines. Cleveland had 17 wards and now it has 15. So you can imagine it impacted the whole city, losing 2 wards like that. And so John Eddy, our GIS technician, we're lucky to have him, started on this process of drawing the precinct boundaries. And he does it at the smallest level of voter that there is, which is a census block. And when you draw precinct boundaries, you cannot have more than 1,400 voters in a precinct per statute. Ward boundaries, or I'm sorry, precinct boundaries don't cross over ward lines, so they're within a precinct. And then what John looks at in addition to that is he looks at trying to not create a lot of split precincts. With the split precinct meaning that within one precinct, some voters, for example, may vote on one county council representative and others vote in a different. And so when he's looking at that, things that were in play were the US Congress, the Ohio House of Representatives, Ohio Senate, and county council districts. And there are 2 small school districts where there are a few voters who live in Shaker Heights, go to Cleveland schools, and the same thing in Berea. So he takes all of that in this big puzzle and he lays it out. Now, Cleveland needed to, they were due for reworking of precincts when we try to balance and look at numbers. We try to average about 1,150 voters per precinct. That gives us room for growth. And so John took that into consideration, but tried to go a little bit lower than that for the city of Cleveland. And so through looking at all of that and literally spending weeks and weeks, he has come up with the maps that are in the board packet for the 15 wards. Now, through this process, Cleveland, prior to this, had 332 precincts. And John, in drawing the boundary lines, with not having a goal of trying to hit a certain number, but again, looking at what gets close to basically our 1,100 number, came up with 254 precincts. So it's a reduction of 78 precincts within the city. And he, again, got things where they are pretty balanced. He did not create a lot of split precincts, more than really what was previously there. And
Are there, it looks like there's 12, but in our materials, it says they increased from 11 to 12. Oh, from 11 total to 12 is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I got you.
Yeah.
To 12.
Yeah, and, you know, and part of this reduction too is the last time that we engaged in the Cleveland precinct project was in 2013. And that's when it went from 19 to 17 wards. So in basically these years that have passed, Cleveland has dropped a little over 30,000 registered voters, which is a 12% drop in the registered voters in the city of Cleveland. So while Cleveland had a reduction, when you look and you take Cleveland out, the suburbs actually had a 4,000 person or registered voter increase in that same time. So that's, you know, that attributes to, so population loss means less precincts, and then the rebalancing. And so, so Tony Gallagher, Deputy Director Gallagher, and myself sat with John, looked at what he had, and agreed with the work that he did. And then we started the process with having staff take the legal description from the city of Cleveland on the wards, and they went through and they proofed to make sure that the legal description, the written word of streets and the direction that you travel down matched a map that John had created, and we got through 2 clean proofs of that. And so happily, everything matched. Sometimes a legal description will not, and we have to send it back to council because inadvertently maybe they put west when they should put east, and that didn't happen. So they did a nice job with Cleveland, and even with the ward boundaries, they too, in drawing them, tried to take into consideration more so like natural boundaries, train tracks, bridges, things like that. So that worked out well. From that, then the next step that John worked on is, you know, with these new ward boundaries, has to change the street segments. So, and what that means is you have to find starting and end points where for a street within a ward. So for example, you take a street like Euclid Avenue, which will go through multiple wards in the city of Cleveland, and now he has to find, say for example, Ward 2, Euclid Avenue, this address to this address falls in this in 2, and then 3 would be that. And he goes through and he does that. He came up with 8,500 stroke data entry strokes that would need to be completed in order to get that clean, to get the street ranges done. So we had staff start working on that project last week. Had, I believe, 8 teams of bipartisan teams of employees going through and getting all that information in. And they finished up on Friday getting all that information in. So now this week, staff will have bipartisan teams will go through, and now they will actually proof that work. So they will look at a map and look at a document that we will have, and they'll go ahead and proof that to make sure that that is accurate. And they'll go through it, and we'll have to get 2 clean proofs of that. Now, through that process, if we saw that there was a data entry, a keystroke error, John will make that correction, and they'll start off again, trying to get through 2 clean rounds. Also, then staff will have to go through and all the precincts and make sure that the district inventory, they'll proof that to make sure that's correct. So this precinct, the county council, all the different things that would impact their, those districts are correct for those individual precincts, and they'll do that for all 254. Hopefully, they can get through that maybe by Monday of next week. And so that we'll have that work to be done. Then what John also has to do is he has to work with the state. The state has 3-digit alpha codes for every precinct across the state. And now he needs to work with them to map that these new precincts equal this 3-digit code and get that on par with the state. And that helps when the state is looking at things that they do with reporting and all of those things. So John will be busy working on that process. And then for this upcoming May election, we've had later on in the board book, you'll see there's individuals in the city of Cleveland who filed local options. They filed those local options with the precinct as to what it was before the board were to take action on this. So now John creates special districts for the May election where he looks at the geographic area where the original precinct where it filed was. And then those precincts now that touch there get to vote on that. So basically kind of creating split local option precincts that would just be for this May election. If there's local options later on, these maps will be in place and then it'll be a normal process.
Is that different from in the past? Because I think we had somebody come forward once when we were in the process of going through this and there was all questions about, well, I actually submitted my paperwork based on the precinct that was in place previously and we had to have it here. Am I remembering that correctly? And will this special district process avoid that problem?
It will.
Okay, so
So
I seem to recall we had a big issue and under threat of lawsuit.
Yeah.
And it was really a little bit unfair to those folks. We didn't know there was gonna be a change or they got caught up in the process. But this special district process will potentially avoid folks having filed based on the prior precincting.
that is correct.
Okay.
Now,
Am
when,
I imagining that we had somebody complain or there was?
no,
I seem to recollect there
I
was
think
some issue
there
there.
was something like
Okay,
that.
all right.
And what will, and by doing the timing, and this is why it was important for us to push. I know some individuals outside of the Board of Elections like, well, we have plenty of time. No, you don't. So, because in that regard, in June, when they filed for the actual city council seats, we need those boundaries. And so if we didn't have this in place, you would get into that type of situation going, well, I lived here and this is what it was. So it makes the whole rest of the year clean. The only thing that isn't clean is the local options, and we will address that. So that will be the special districts. Also, we were going to send a letter to all Cleveland residents. One of our change letters, letting them know where their polling location is, what their new ward is or new precinct. And even if they don't have a change, we're just gonna blanket the city because it's a lot. And so to try to carve out, is there 10,000 people who did get impacted, whatever, just easier to do that. So we will get that letter out before the May election. And for the voter information guide that we send, that correct information on their polling locations will be in there also.
Will
So,
city leaders help with that, giving notice to the voters? Because, they have more contact and touch points than we do. A
Mhm.
letter is great and should be sent, but there should be other touches with the voters. Are they committed to helping get the word out?
yeah, so Council President Griffin, does not want confusion in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Will work with us on
I
that.
figured not.
And then also what Victor Rush and his team are doing is they are currently assigning polling locations. So last November, we had 105 City of Cleveland locations. We're not looking to reduce poll locations. It's keeping that number, or close to that number, and then just doing the reassignment. So we don't know how many voters will be going to a different location because they may have a new ward name, they may have a new precinct name, but it doesn't mean that they have a new poll location
Right.
because of the geography of it. But
Yeah,
that's,
that's the thing that upsets the voters more than anything
Yes.
else, I think.
so
Right.
that is,
Right.
yeah, and that's the directive that Victor and his team is given. No, we're not trying to reduce poll places. We want to maintain that. What it will do though is save the city of Cleveland money when it comes time for election, because basically you get charged on a per precinct basis and it's around $2,500 per precinct, and you take that times 78 and you're looking at, I think, 6 figures. So just less specific precinct ballots you have to do. We'll still have plenty of ballots out there because you're basing it off of registered voters, but the variety, the number of precincts is less. So that's what we have. I did email these maps to Council President Griffin last week, because as soon as we had them done, we sent them, and it took that much. I have not heard anything back from him, but what's unique too is versus some of the suburban work we've done, they didn't reduce wards. They just kind of shifted the line here or there, so you knew who the council person was for that ward. And now with this renumbered and combinations, they're really kind of, you don't have that same one-to-one with that. Now you may have two existing council members who fall within the same thing. So it's a little bit different in that regard. But of course, if someone were to come forward with a comment, it won't be for May. It'd be something that we would probably revisit towards the end of the year, unless it was something that was a complete and total oversight. But we would look to see, take that into consideration. But we want to have consistency for May, September, and November of this year for these voters.
Yeah, it's just despite the fact that there's continuing work to be done with the state. You're looking for us to acknowledge this is as final as it gets for us
Yes,
for action for today. Is that what you're?
that is correct. So what we would want is an acknowledgement of the Cleveland's work on the wards and approval of the precinct boundaries, which board members have to authorize those precincts. And John's like, well, I could tinker. No, there's no more time to tinker. Because really come the end of next week, we want to create the import of the ballot for May. So we need to be moving along with that.
Okay, good. Thank you, Director Bellotti, and thank you to John Eddie and the staff for your hard work on this. And quick work. There's John. Hi, thank you, John, for your work, and to the staff for getting this done on a very short runway. So having heard all of that, I move to acknowledge the municipal ward boundaries and approve the corresponding precinct boundaries for the city of Cleveland.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle, all in favor, aye? Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. On to absentee, this is a standard procedure for us, so I move to approve to outsource the printing and mailing the vote by mail ballot for the May 6th, 2025 primary special election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle, any unreadiness? No, hearing none, all in favor, aye? Aye, the ayes have it. And another standard fair procedure for us, I move the preliminary approval for the ballot order for the May 6th, 2025 primary special election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. On the candidate and petition services, I move to acknowledge the following letters. We have letters of intent to retire from elected office, and this is per the Ohio Revised Code 145.38, and that applies to Dennis M. Clough, City of Westlake Mayor, and Michael P. Maloney, City of Westlake Director of Law. And the following resignations from elected offices: Robert E. Shepler Jr., Chagrin Falls Board of Education Board Member; Charlene Mancuso, Euclid City Council President of Council; Christian Jaros, Euclid City Council Member of Council Ward 4; and Rick Haas, Parma Heights City Council Member of Council Ward 4. And also the following appointments to elected office: Peter L. Smith, Beechwood City Council Member of Council; Stephen Bordner, Chagrin Falls Board of Education Board Member; Marie Sanders, East Cleveland Board of Education Board Member; Christian Jaros, Euclid City Council President of Council; Greg Cosgriff, Euclid City Council Member of Council Ward 4; Angelina Hamilton Steiner, Lakewood City Council Member of Council at Large; and John Sater, Parma City Council Member of Council Ward 4.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. On to item number 8. I move the acknowledgement of the following candidate and issue withdrawals from the May 6th primary/special election. Candidate withdrawn from the May 6th, 2025 primary election: Gene Gallagher, Rocky River Clerk of Municipal Court, Democrat. And the ballot issue withdrawn from the May 6th, 2025 primary election: Richmond Heights 04B, local liquor option Sunday sales for MBS doing business as Richmond Beverage at 468 Richmond Road, Suite C, Richmond Heights, Ohio, 44143.
A second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It is so ordered. And the chair recognizes Mr. Brett Lawler to speak with us as we go through the certification process. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, board members, director, deputy director. We have one item for candidacy in the declaration of write-in that we'd like the board to review. Mr. Singh filed as a write-in for the city of Mayfield Heights, which is a nonpartisan community. Mr. Singh reached out to us, I believe, at the end of December of last year, inquiring about a write-in. In turn, we turned to the law director. As we know, the board of elections does not interpret charters, the law director too. Paul Murphy, who was the previous law director, gave us an opinion on behalf of the new law director in the city, stating that write-ins were not permitted for any elected office. I called Mr. Singh the following day to advise him of that. And on February the 3rd, Mr. Singh came down and he filed as a writing candidate. In turn, we reached out to the new law director, Ray Smidland, who is here today, if we bring to talk, and he has issued 2 more legal opinions regarding the issue, one in response to Mr. Singh's attorney. So he has reaffirmed Paul Murphy's stance that write-ins are not permitted for any elected official. Further, the form that was submitted does not have, even if write-ins were permitted, the election date was not selected on the form. And thirdly, the charter specifically requires write-in candidate, specifically requires acknowledgement of the office, which was not submitted to us. Now, acknowledgements are not driven by the RC, they are charter driven. So based on those items, the charter prohibits writing candidates. The candidate failed to indicate what election he intended to be a writing candidate for, and the candidate failed to file a written acceptance. We ask that the board not certify his candidacy. So whether we're not trying to get the contract to.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawler. Any questions for Mr. Lawler?
No.
Okay. Well, this is not a hearing, but we've heard from Mr. Lawler. Mr. Singh, our counsel, their chair will recognize counsel. And if you'd like to make a statement to the board, we would invite you to do so. Please identify your name and spell it for the record, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Leonard, and it's AMELIA Leonard. I am here as counsel for Mr. Singh, and our position is that the charter could have restricted and could have prohibited writing candidates. Other jurisdictions have done so. This does not. And while it states that there are nominations, it also states that except as otherwise provided in this charter, the laws of Ohio shall govern the nomination and election of the mayor of the city. And as you know, the laws of Ohio do expressly allow for writing candidates. There's nothing in the charter that states specifically, like I believe even Westlake might be one of them that states specifically no writing candidates. This charter is silent. And as it's silent and the statutes do provide for writing candidates, it is our position that there is no nothing prohibiting him from being a writing candidate.
Thank you, counsel. You may be dismissed. Mr. Musselman, is there anything that you would like to share from your position?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for being late.
Yes.
I don't have any reason to disagree with the law director's decision or interpretation of the charter. I would defer to the law director's reading of the City of Westlake's charter. I do note, though, that the missing date from the write-in attempt does not appear to be substantial compliance with the form. So I think there are 2 separate independent issues that are precluding Mr. Singh from appearing on the ballot. One being the county or the city charter prohibiting, or not necessarily prohibiting, but specifying the means for nomination to elective office, not including write-ins, which the law director has, given their opinion on. And, the separate being the substantial compliance with the form, which is missing the, primary date, or we don't know if they would also be, if they're petitioning to appear as write-in in the general election.
Okay.
It's substantial, yeah, we need that date. It's a serious defect of it.
Correct.
Two issues, okay. Thank you. Mr. Lawler, on our certification of candidates, Mr. Singh's name does not appear on that, okay. So I just want, I'm sorry, sir.
There are only two candidate races for the May primary. So you're only going to certify.
That's this
Yeah,
piece
that.
of the Oakwood Council.
And your next page would need to be added to the agenda, which is the lieu of candidates that move automatically from the filing from May to the end of elections. If you could add the second one.
At the second one, okay, so you want me to approve this one now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll approve the certification of candidates to the May 6, 2025 primary election. And that's Oakwood Council Ward 2,
And
Janine,
5.
pardon me?
I'm sorry, wards 2 and 5.
Yeah, Wards 2 and 5.
Oh, you're gonna read them. all.
Yes,
Sorry.
this is so short. Janine Atkins, Ward 2, Devon Evans Warren, Oakwood Council Ward 2, Barry Craig Smith, Oakwood Council Ward 5, Candace Hill, Oakwood Council Ward 5, Malcolm C. Sims Jr., and Oakwood Council Ward 5, Kelly Warren. All of those are nonpartisan. So I move to certify those candidates.
I'll second that. motion.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Okay, and then Mr. Lawler, sir, you've asked us then to take this longer list and to do, oh, yes,
Yes,
Chair acknowledges attorney.
thank you. Mr. Singh had provided to me a list from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections prior to when the objection to Mr. Singh's candidacy had been lodged by the law director, and it does show 3 individuals, including Mr. Singh, listed as a writing candidate. Now, Mr. Lawler advises me that this has since been corrected,
Well, that's not final record though, too.
but to state that he was never listed or identified as a candidate would be inaccurate, is my point on
I've
that.
never said that.
Right. Well, I guess I would note for the record, when that list does come out, it's reflecting what's filed, and this body is going to make that final decision.
Mr. Lawler?
Just clarification on that specific issue, write-ins are in our program for the canvas list. Write-ins are, you have to click certain boxes, and we discovered, because this has never happened in all the years we've had this list. Mary Hannah from our IT department went in there and made coding changes to allow us to put no down for a write-in candidate, because they're automatically put as yes. But that is the reason why we went back. It was up there for a day or two until we noticed it when we ran the report.
If I could just say to my colleague's point, I mean, it's not a final action until we meet and review it and discuss it. I just would say for there, I appreciate the council's advocacy on behalf of her client. But it just seems to me, even though there's no prohibition in the charter, the charter seems to be pretty clear, and there's mandatory language, it's not precatory language in their charter that says there shall be the way the nomination is done by petition. So, I mean, we are constrained by what the charter provides, and the remedy for your client really is to, work through council to get a charter amendment or something. We really have to be deferential to the charter. And so I appreciate our council's understanding, and even the law director from the city about where, what the interpretation is. I think, it's just not sufficient what was done to permit his candidates to move forward. So I just felt a need to make a statement about what my sense of where we are is on this, and your advocacy is very much appreciated, I'm sure, on behalf of your client. But it is what it is, in the proverbial words of whoever said that, because everybody says that now. But I think the language is clear enough for us, and we certainly defer to the law director on the interpretation of the charter. Thank you.
I would just briefly, for the record, concur, appreciate the advocacy, because I think, obviously we want valid access, but charters, kind of are what we're looking at over the revised code, and it says shall, to my colleague's point, and that doesn't give us much latitude. Plus, there's a secondary issue, which is serious regarding the missing date. So even aside from the charter question, I think we don't really have much choice here.
And I concur with both colleagues, Mr. McCaffrey, with statement.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
No, I think it's all.
Okay. So Mr. Lawler, we will then take this issue, is that what you're suggesting for the certification?
Yes.
Okay, so I move the certification of the candidates nominated without primary election to the November 4th, 2025 general election. Primaries eliminated per Ohio Revised Code 3513.02, and that list is included in our board packet.
Second that motion.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Just have clarification.
Yes, sir.
So, didn't hear it, we did vote not certified, you said.
I don't think we should
Yeah,
vote.
he was not part of the list, so do we need to make that a separate motion?
Yes, you will.
Yeah, we were in the
Because
middle of it. I think we made the
Yeah.
motion.
Okay.
But we
So
didn't
I
vote
move
on
not to certify, Mr. Singh to the November, up to the May 5th, May 6th, 2025 primary / special election ballot.
With all of our comments, addressing the issue incorporated in that motion, I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it, here, so ordered. Thank you, Mr. Mueller. All right. On to item 10, the municipal issues are before us. And we had an opportunity to read them. Thank you, Mr. Carlotti, for your clarification that the ward boundaries will be updated. So these are as they currently were, and then those will be translated into whatever those new boundaries are moving forward.
That is correct.
Okay, so thank you, in your earlier comment. So I move to certify the certification of the issues for the May 6th, 2025 primary / special election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Chair acknowledges Mr. Hassani Wheat of registration. Come and to tee up our voter challenges.
Good morning,
Morning.
I'm Sonny Wheat, Registration Manager. So you should have before you a Form 257, challenge of the right to vote and correction of registration list. That was submitted by Charlotte Durham and received by the Board of Elections on January 23rd, 2025. Mrs. Durham, a registered voter in Cuyahoga County, is challenging the voter residency of Lakeisha Eglinton. Mrs. Durham noted in her challenge that Mrs. Eglinton does not reside at 14905 Kingsford Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. Per the Cuyahoga County Summary Property Report, Mrs. Durham has been the property owner at 14905 Kingsford Avenue since January 2nd of 2015. The voter registration database shows that Lakeisha Eglinton came to the board office and voted a provisional ballot on election day during the November 5th, 2024 presidential general election. At that time, she changed her residential address from 4785 Walford Road, Apartment 6 to 14905 Kingsford Avenue. Lakeisha Eglinton has been a registered voter in Cuyahoga County since March of 2000.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wheat. Any questions for Mr.
Just a
Wheat?
quick question. Do we know if Ms. Eglinton ever lived at the Kingsford Avenue address?
She is not.
Okay. Not even for a short time?
No.
Okay, and how do we know that?
We know that through the various records that is shown in the voter registration database.
Just to clarify, we don't necessarily know if she ever lived there. We know that she's never been registered to vote there previously. From our records of,
So she was registered somewhere else previously, and then, just to be clear, she physically came in and filled out a form.
And changed her address
changed
to the address in question?
Correct.
Okay.
yes,
Strange.
But the challenger doesn't, I mean, the challenger says she doesn't currently live there, but we don't know if she ever lived there or even if she lived there at the time. I don't
She
mean to
doesn't
play
know
devil's
her.
advocate. I'm just trying to get a sense of whether we have all the facts or not. And I understand the challenger owns the property and she's saying, hey, she doesn't currently live here, but it doesn't say she never lived there. We don't know if at the time she came in to change her registration, maybe she lived there part-time. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm just saying, we
Well, she said
don't.
she doesn't know her though. In the statement, and I do not know her.
Right, well, let's.
All right, I just asked a question.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Is Charlotte Durham present? Okay, Chair recognizes Ms. Durham.
Here we go.
Oh, that's good.
While she comes forward, we did send the notice for Ms. Eggleton
Yeah.
to the address that she changed it to, as well as the last registration address that we had on file for her. So we sent out two different ones, trying to see if
Figure
we-
out,
or if there was a forwarding in place or something.
right, okay.
Ms. Durham, welcome. We are going to swear you in by our court reporter, and then after you've been sworn in, then you can communicate to the board what you need to tell us. So you'd be sworn in, please.
Raise your hand, please. Do you solemnly swear in the testimony you're about to give me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
I live at the property,
Okay.
so, I've been staying there for at least the past 15 years.
Okay.
And now what did happen, I went to, on the 9th of January, I went to the, BMV and renewed my license and my sticker. Then a week later, that's when I got this, I got this card from Miss Eggleston, yeah. So I was wondering then, maybe they had a mix up at the DMV.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, she does not live at my residence,
She's never lived there.
no.
Okay.
My father had the house before I did,
Oh,
and.
Family
I've been there
homestead.
for over 15 years.
Okay,
right.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Is Lakeisha Eggleton or counsel representing her present or online? Chair notes for the record that Ms. Eggleton is not present. Okay, board, any other questions?
She voted provisionally using this address.
She voted provisionally using this address.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, which becomes another issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
take these two. I think I know where you're going. So I move to uphold the voter challenge filed by Charlotte Durham against Lakeisha Eggleton and to cancel her voter registration.
I second that motion.
Seconded by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye. The ayes have it. Mr. McCafferty has a point.
Yeah, so it had to go beyond the BMV because she actively filled out a provisional
Yeah.
ballot with wherever she got the address from.
And she came here to do it.
And she came here to do it. So,
Big irregularity.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seems intentional.
And she didn't respond to inquiry to clarify.
Refer it.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to refer this to the Secretary of State's voter integrity division.
Properly moved. I second it. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. The ayes have it, and that will be referred to the Secretary of State. Mr. Week, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You should have before you a Form 257 challenge for the right to vote and a correction of registration lists that was submitted by Timothy McDonald and received by the Board of Elections on January 31st, 2025. Mr. McDonald, a registered voter in Cuyahoga County, is challenging the voter residency of Eric Deshawn King. Mr. McDonald noted in his challenge that Mr. King does not reside at 6391 Fry Road in Brook Park, Ohio. Per Cuyahoga County summary report, property summary report, and admission on his voter challenge form, Mr. McDonald has been the property owner at 6391 Fry Road since August of 2017. The voter registration database shows that Eric Deshawn King registered via online voter registration submission on October 19, 2024, which was received after the close of registration deadline for the November 2024 general election. Per the Data Act, CCBOE staff was not able to process Mr. King's voter registration until voter history was applied for the November 4th general election. Upon approval of the submitted voter history for the November 2024 general election, Mr. King's voter registration was applied to the database on December 20th, 2024. Eric King is a first-time registered voter. He wasn't registered in time for the November 2024 general election, and he has had no voter activity since registering.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Weed, for teeing that up. Any questions for Mr. Weed? Okay, Chair will recognize Timothy W. McDonald or a representative thereof. Mr. McDonald or counsel here. Sir, please. Morning, we'll ask the court reporter to swear you in, and then you may give your comments to the board.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
Please.
Okay, I purchased the house in August of 2017. As far as I know, the Deshaun King might have been a previous relative of the lady that owned the house before me. So other than that, I mean, that's the first time I've received anything for that name under the voter registration, so,
Doesn't currently reside there.
no.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McDonald? All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming down.
The chair recognizes Eric Deshaun King. Is Mr. King present either in person or online, or legal counsel representing him? All right, the chair notes for the record that Mr. King is not present. All right. Having heard that, I move to uphold the challenge of the right to vote filed by Timothy McDonald against Eric King and to cancel his registration.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Ms. Chappelle. Any unreadiness? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wheatley. On to election support, I move to authorize the preliminary allocation for voting equipment for the May 6, 2025 primary special election. And all of those allocations are delineated in our agenda.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. It is so ordered. The chair recognizes Latara Brown, if you'd come forth for our fiscal services report. Good morning, Ms. Brown.
Fiscal Service Manager. Here with two resolutions for today. The first of which is to pay for custodial services to Cleveland Metropolitan School District for the use of 47 locations for the November 2024 general election in the amount of $29,346.38. The second is for approval to pay the United States Postal Service mailing permit allocation in the amount of $217,500.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Any questions for Ms. Brown? All right, so I move to approve the resolution R 2025-02-18-001V for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. And I move to approve resolution R 2025-02-18-002V for funding for the United States Postal Service mailing permit account. That was a mouthful.
That was.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Brown. And on to our human resources agenda, item 15. I move to approve the following appointments. Becky Vigan to election official 1 ballot prep and tab department, effective February 24th, 2025. Garrett Bears to systems administration, electronic poll book coordinator, IS department, effective February 24th, 2025. John Wismierski, the supervisor absentee services department, effective February 24th, 2025. Joshua Malovsik to program coordinator absentee services department, effective 2024-25. And the reassignment of Stephen Dell, supervisor of candidates and petition services, to supervisor of absentee voter services department, effective 2023-25. And the resignation of Zachary Schwartz from database analyst, effective February 24th, 2025. Seconded by Ms. Chappelle, and I just want to say for clarification, Mr. Ferlati, Stephen Dell, we're building out that new department, and that was part of what we were doing when we created that department and then to build out a staff for that.
That is correct. Two of the positions, that are appointments, that is part of that project that, or plan that we did. And then
Ms. Mirsky is part of that, yes.
that, as well as mobile
Melissa
officer.
Lossaman, yeah.
And then, and Steve Dell, that was always part of the plan. It's just that, for November 24, he needed to be, with that, and Brent Lawler and Canada Petition Services oversaw the early in-person process. Now, me and going forward, absentee services will do that. So that, completes the staffing build out for
So
that.
it's fully staffed now.
Up until,
For now.
for now, as far as I know,
As of today.
all the vacancies on the books, yes, that's what we have.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, we're ready to vote. All in favor of approving the personnel agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. It is so ordered. On the new business, Mr. Carlotti.
Yes, I'd like to give an update on the 1801 Superior building project that we are going. Progress still moves forward. Well, things it's really starting to come together. However, not in enough time for us to execute early in-person voting for the May election at that facility. So, Deputy Director Gallagher and I, talking with the management team, we've said this before, and this hopefully will honestly be the last time we say that this election will be the last one that we do at 29, 25 years. So, I just want to be clear for the voters of Cuyahoga County candidates, and everyone, that there will be no change. It'll be business as usual for the May election, where individuals will come here and vote really in person. The ballot drop box will be on this property. And any kind of filings, even though we had some filings that we certified, we still have a charter amendment deadline and coming up in March, and all those things will happen here. But with that, Tony and I go to the building about once a week, and boy, does it look really nice. And I think one of the things that has, and I think I have mentioned this before, one of the things that really hindered us was the landlord in the permitting process through the city of Cleveland. And those delays, while Public Works has tried to go above and beyond and brought in some of their resources and have worked overtime, just can't make up for the amount of time that was lost through not being able to do certain functionality because permits weren't in place. But that permitting, that issue is resolved. Everything is working forward. The office space on the first floor is just about done, meaning that furniture in place. There is power and data lines to all the cubicles and offices. So that's exciting. On the second floor of the building, all the carpeting is installed, all the painting's done. Ohio Desk is there currently, installing the furniture on the second floor. Seem to be moving along quite well with that. And then what will happen is once that furniture is in place, and the county electricians need to follow behind, and they need to have the power and the data go to that furniture. So, like, for example, the cubicles, they energize the furniture, and then people can plug their equipment in. The garage space where the condition part where we will conduct our vote by mail processing, that is, it's getting close. Landlord had come in and worked on the epoxy flooring and got that installed. They have a little bit of carpeting to do. They have installed the doors. So there's a lot of work done in that regard. And then the county still needs to get out and do electrical work. So the county, the way they're prioritizing data for operations is first floor office space. Then they're taking their resources up to the second floor office space, and then they'll go to the garage last. They have roughed in, the data lines that will be needed for the early in-person voting room, but they're not going to do the finalization until we actually bring the furniture over, and that's something that Deputy Director Gallagher and I actually asked. Let's kind of fine tune the furniture placement and then get the electricity to there, because it will be new and things look good on paper, but until you physically get the things there, you can really hone in. That being said, after this May election, the week following the May election, we should start to move in. So May 12th is when I think first employees will start to move in, and they'll move in over about a course of 3 weeks. Obviously, we need to finalize the May election and get that ready for certification. So, for example, first wave of employees would probably include maybe fiscal, HR, candidate petition services. They'll get in, they'll get situated in this way too. When we have the June filing deadline, they will have been in the space for a few weeks and be a little bit familiar with the location, and we can advertise for people to go. Then assigning and registration need to get through provisionals, and probably after we have the provisional opening meeting, registration would go. Once Marlene and her team finish poll worker payroll, then they'll go. And that should all happen over the course of about 3-week window. So it's looking very promising in that aspect. Things that Tony Gallagher and I are working with the county on, really we're focusing more so on building signage. We've seen an initial draft of the signage. We gave our comments, need some more. I don't think you can over advertise what that building is. Of course, we look at things through different lenses than some other folks, and we take our experiences here. And so we're trying to impart that knowledge on the county. It's nice to have something in front of the building. But when people are getting off the freeway ramp at Superior over there and they start coming, they need to be able to see something like far out. Because we know that a lot of folks are not familiar with downtown. They come down just for downtown for a couple of purposes, and it's a big building, so you need to do that. So we've given lots of comments on that.
Mr. Berlotti, are they going to recycle the letters that we have on this building? Will they be the same stuff? The signage from this building?
It'll be new signage. So it's new sign. They have an architect. The county has an architect under contract that's just dealing with signage. I think some of it will be illuminated. When the signage on this building has the county logo, which is fine, but we didn't have our vote logo. So we have that now. That will be incorporated on there. So let's say the vote, and then it'll say Cuyahoga County and Board of Elections. And there's some small things that, like we see, that we pointed out too. So, for example, they had the vote and it had said Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, and Cuyahoga County letters were this big, Board of Elections, no, flip. Board of Elections big, Cuyahoga County small. I mean, because that's what you need to do. And it's because, again, you want people to see. So we're working through them with that. Our stuff makes sense, the comments that we give. And I think there's, and they see that. And so they're just trying to work through. Also working with the county on the mailroom part of the building. County is going to be shifting some of the mail room work that they do there. And so we continue to advocate / fight to make sure we have our space for our equipment, that whatever needs to be locked is locked, and we have that. And they're hearing us. And that is another.
They'll be separated. Their mail be segregated from our stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and we've already had a meeting with the post office. So we're talking about post office, suite numbers that we'll utilize and how all that will work. And currently on a daily basis, we go to the post office and pick up our own mail, and then we go back and we deliver our stuff to the post office. We will continue to do that. We will not give that up, and the county's not pushing for us to do that. But what we need is, like, for example, say the City of Cleveland letters. It's a lot of letters. And so we have equipment that we can fold and insert mail, so we want that all in a space that's set up properly, because right now we do some in the basement and some on the second floor and some over there and, so no, the goal was, we have this nice space, let's build it correctly. And they hear us. Sometimes more than they want to, but that's what we're gonna keep fighting for that. Also, we've been working on discussing security. And security will be something that I think will build with time. We will have security there. We have the cameras and the card access that we need with the physical officer. We will have an officer there. But I think what the county, and I understand this, is as human services comes on a year or so down the road, as they leave a few buildings, those officers will get reassigned. So we will have an officer in the building from day one. Ultimately, I'd like to have two inside. I think it will get there in time, but the sheriff's office is committing to, at the start, in addition to the one person inside, there will be a guard shack in the parking lot, to having that staffed up right away on day one, so.
Will the Secretary of State, have anybody down here to sort of look over? I remember we were on a call not so long ago with somebody from the Secretary of State's office that was looking at some of our physical operations and all that kind of stuff all around security. Will there be that kind of, interaction with the Secretary of State's office or their designee about what our new space and what the security looks like from a physical standpoint?
They will come out, they wanna come out, when it's done.
Yeah,
And see
sure,
it, so we'll do that, and we actually have already put, even though it's not done, because we know that it takes time, submitted an application with Homeland Security, because that's part of, the Secretary of State Security Directive.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's in the directive.
Yeah, you need to have that, so typically, that's like 6+ months out, so we have that in. Going through that here is where we have told the county, look, you need to have this, like ballistic film, it's all over the place. The cameras, where you need bipartisan access, we have identified that, and the county, as far as I can see, has not pushed back on those things, because they know that, look, it has to happen. Yes, it makes good sense for us, but Secretary of State also, and
Right.
Homeland Security is gonna say, well, you need to do that,
Yeah.
so. We'll continue, to work.
Is there an estimated date on, so everything will be substantially complete and we'll be able to occupy? Is there a drop dead date on that? And then, because my question then is gonna be around, because, council person just whispered something in my ear about coming back for the ribbon cutting. Do we know around when that's gonna be? And then what the marketing efforts will be, or what the notification might be? I know this is a little premature because you're just trying to
Yeah,
get those kind of things in there, but there should be at least a ETA for everybody's in there, at least some sort of date for that to happen. Do we know what that is?
we do not know that yet. We should, like I said, we'll move from May 12th to, I think, May 29th will be the end. As far as when we want to have, an official invite, the media and have the ribbon cutting, we haven't done that.
No, but what is the date when everybody will be in that building?
Everyone should be, I just say
End
June,
of May?
June 1,
Oh, June, okay,
really June 1, we should all be in there.
okay.
There might be a couple cabinets that still need to come, but physical people. We should
Which
all be
means
in
that,
June.
that 6 months, so we can give Homeland Security and then the Secretary of State a date based on that June 1 date?
Yeah, we
Oh,
can do
okay,
that, yes.
so I'm just trying to figure the
Yeah,
time.
and the secretary, and so, as far as cybersecurity items, Secretary of State's already been on site for
Okay.
those purposes. So whenever, if we want to plug a computer in on May 12th, we can, because that is already in. Secretary of State came up, worked with AT&T, and all that is in place. And then Robin Roy, and you might remember Jeremy Neal from the county, have all been involved in building that out, just like they did here. Kelly Woodard, who is Director of Communications for the county, we had one meeting a little while ago, but she just emailed me, and we'll be setting up another meeting with her in the coming weeks, and that's a lot with the notice, the letters and what documents and, they being the bigger county have, more resources and access to a lot of, fancy things that we can try to put together.
Are we moved notices, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's definitely a point where, it's in the back of our mind, we talk about a little bit. Once we kind of get the ballot set, then more so, that's where we go, because the construction, there's still, you gotta keep tabs on it. You gotta hold everybody honest, but we have the ability to move into some of the more of these operational type items that we need to really focus on to make this work, custodial services, all those types of things.
Any other questions for Director Vermont? All right, thank you, Deputy Director, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to give a little bit more operational information regarding Directive 2025-02. Kind of looking back and looking forward, because it does deal with voter registration maintenance of our database. And that's always a topic that sometimes on both sides, people look at it and think, oh, we're purging too many people, or we're aggressive with our cancellation, or we're not doing enough. So I wanted to just give a little bit of background with it. So the process began for this round began in 2021 when we mailed out about 116,000 confirmation to voters. That included about 13,500 voters who the United States Postal Service told us that they moved out of Cuyahoga County. It also included about 102,000 people who at that point hadn't had any voter activity for 2 years. Those confirmation or letters were sent out and just notifying them either A, if you have moved out of Cuyahoga County, to notify us so that we can cancel your registration, or if you are active and you just hadn't had any voter activity for the 2 years, to either send back the letter or respond to it at that time. So here we are 4 years later, and all but about 31,000 people have either had voter activity, which means either voted in an election, signed a petition, made some type of contact with us, notified us that they have in fact moved,
Right.
or responded to the confirmation in some way. So on March 5th of next month, all Ohio counties will be mailing out what we call registration readiness letter, or what we call last chance letters. So these letters will be an additional opportunity for voters to respond. It includes a self-addressed return envelope as well, that they can either confirm, yes, I'm out here, or I haven't moved, or even indicate if they have moved. And if they do not respond at that time, then in September, we're scheduled to, at that point, cancel them. So although it's not a perfect system, it's a good system, because we don't want to have where we have more people registered in our county than who actually reside here. But on the other hand, we want to have a good system to be able to remove people as such. So all of the people have not had any voter activity for at least 4 years, and some of them at least up to 6 years with that. So it's a reasonable system within that. There is a little bit of an operational issue looking forward. In September, as you know, we're scheduled to likely have a September 9th primary here in Cuyahoga County. Some of the data cuttings and some of the preparations for the cancellation conflict a little bit with the preparation for that election. So we have notified the Secretary of State's office. So for instance, we're not supposed to have any date entry between August 12th and August 25th. Well, the close of registration is the 11th, the day before that, we will be putting cards in at that point. So we just need to communicate with the Secretary of State to kind of work out some of those details, so that come September or shortly after right now it's scheduled for September 23rd would be the cancellation. That's just before our certification of the September election. So those are the details of timing that we have to work out with them, so as to not in any way discriminate against or prevents disenfranchising somebody from being able to participate in the September election, but still execute the cancellation in a timely manner. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of update on that and just to help the public also know some of the measures that are taken into place and from both sides.
Thank you. Any other questions for Deputy Director Gallagher? All right, thank you, gentlemen, for new business. The chair has not received any requests for public comment. And the chair has not received any requests for executive session. All right, Ms. Chappelle, I promised you that if you stay to the end,
The bitter end.
we might have something for you. So the chair is going to acknowledge Rachel Ruffer from Secretary of State's office. And if Ms. Ruffer would come forth with your presentation. Morning.
Although it is a little sad, I will admit. So I just wanted to say that it has been very nice working with you. And when I first got this job, one of the first things I heard was what a brilliant lawyer you are. I had a number of judges who told me that because I have a number of friends on the bench here. And I just want to say you have exceeded all expectations and you certainly are leaving your mark here. So I really appreciate all you've done. And as a former 30-year resident of Cobb County, I personally thank you as well. I do have this commendation from the secretary. So we want to acknowledge your service from Secretary LaRose and also the state of Ohio. We are sad to see you go, but of course, nobody can blame you for trading in palm tree or voter registration challenges for palm trees. Especially some of the lively challenges you have had. So, thank you very much. We will miss you, but certainly enjoy, your future engagements and activities. So
Thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. We really will miss you.
Thank you so much.
So I have.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Then there's more.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's been said that, I've already paid the tuition for the lesson that you're about to learn. And Ms. Chappelle paid the tuition for the legal education that I got at this table. So I thank you. I've taken all of that into consideration. And you have been truly a blessing to me personally and to this agency. And it's been a joy to work with you. So on behalf of the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, I present this resolution with gratitude to Ina Jo Davis Chappelle for her public service. Whereas Ina Jo Davis Chappelle has served the Board of Elections and the voters of Cuyahoga County with passion, honor, and integrity for 18 years. And whereas as a board member and the former chair of the board, Ms. Chappelle has successfully led the Board of Elections through numerous changes to election law and internal procedures that have elevated the board and staff to one of the most respected voting jurisdictions in the state of Ohio. And whereas Ms. Chappelle proudly held the seat on the Ohio Board of Voting Machine Examiners from 2007 through 2014. During her tenure, she led the institution as their chair from 2008 through 2011. And whereas Ms. Chappelle has collaborated with her colleagues to make many tough decisions based on the rule of law and fairness, which has helped the Board of Elections become highly respected by our peers, elected officials, and voters. And whereas the Board of Elections has greatly benefited from Ms. Chappelle's institutional knowledge and sharp legal mind, which has contributed to the smooth adoption to new voting systems, the introduction of electronic poll books, and her advocacy for the monumental effort to relocate to a new board building. And whereas we join Ms. Chappelle in celebrating the next chapter of her life that will include traveling new pathways to exciting destinations, additional time for activities that include making music on her piano and her Fender bass guitar, swimming, scuba diving, and following her favorite football teams, while generously sharing her warm personality, abilities, and skills with others. And it is therefore resolved that we, the board members and chair, director, deputy director of the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, join together with the staff in proclaiming our deep gratitude for Ina Jo Davis Chappelle's service and hard work for the voters of Cuyahoga County, signed by your colleagues on the board, as well as our director and deputy director. And it is with great joy that I present this resolution with the thanks that it is given. And we have more.
Oh, my goodness.
Ms. Chappelle served for several years as chairman of this board and had the gavel. And we want to, in our tradition, present her with her own special gifts.
Hi.
Of a crystal gavel that says Ina Jo Davis Chappelle, Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, 2007 to 2025.
Oh, my goodness, this is beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Ms. Chappelle, the floor is yours.
Oh my, never known me to be speechless, I'm sure, but gee, I just can't say that it's the bitter end, but it's also very much bittersweet because it's been a long run. I've so much enjoyed working with you guys, just incredible leaders and people who are committed, from board to staff, to all those temporary workers. I swear, it's just really amazing. There's no excitement like election day excitement. Oh, maybe election preparedness excitement. But you know, I give all credit and praise for everything that I've done in my life to God. And without him, I wouldn't be here and couldn't do anything. And so, well, you know, it's gonna get all teary. But it is really been a long haul and a long ride. I'm glad. I mean, all of these proclamations and resolutions are meaningful to me because it does feel good to know that I think I've made a difference. I feel that in my heart. I think that's why I was placed here by God to be of service. And so I just thank all of you. I am going to enjoy palm trees and sunny weather. I am so ready to get out of this cold weather. And so look forward to changing my residency soon. And my husband's a Florida resident. He always likes to flash his Florida license in front of me. All of that will be coming soon enough. Looking forward to swimming and playing. I am learning how to play the Fender bass. I do play the piano. So looking forward to all of that and traveling. And I will miss all of you guys. I won't miss the craziness, maybe just a little.
Yeah.
But a little frenzy's good in one's life, actually, a little bit of frenzy, not maybe as much as we have from time to time, but it's been a great time working with all of you. I appreciate you all. We don't say it enough. We do try to say it, but really I am marvel at all of the long hours and hard work that you all put in, and it really is appreciated, all the support. We get to take credit for all of that great hard work that you all put in. And so for all of that and more, I'm very thankful, grateful, and appreciative. So I love this gavel. I love the time, all of the proclamations, and I thank you all for allowing this and for the celebration. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. If you were hired from 2007 onward, raise your hand.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Ms. Chappelle cast a yes vote to be hired. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Board members, director, deputy director.
I just wanna say, you know, especially when I was new here, you were just a great leader on the board. You had good insight, very thoughtful questions, really helped, I think, especially those who are newer. Get our land lakes quickly, and we can always ask you a question and get your thoughts, and you're an amazing colleague, and it's big shoes to fill, and we're gonna really miss you, but you've done a great job here, and we appreciate you so much.
Thanks so much, Lisa.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Chairman, I want to say, I want to thank Ms. Chappelle for all of her service, for her mentorship. And, you know, what's great is she has been a person over all the years who, you know, we deal with things out here, but I can go to her when we're not in this thing and get guidance and learn. And she has made me a better director. And I will always be appreciative of that and the friendship that has developed over the years, and truly someone who is just dedicated and passionate about voting and providing these services to people. And it doesn't matter what your party, where you live, or any of that stuff, just, you know, giving you that opportunity to do it. And it's you know, Chairman went through a lot of things that happened during her tenure, you know, another one, bilingual ballot, vote, you know, electronic poll books, modernization, and all those things. And it's been, I have been blessed and lucky to be able to be here at this time when you were here also. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks so much, Johnny. Thank you for all your friendship and all your hard work. Very appreciated.
Yeah, Mr. McCaffrey.
I also want to thank you as one of the younger members on this board. It is challenging when you start, and it's so great to have somebody with so much institutional knowledge that's more than willing to share, which is important because a lot of people don't like to share. So I'm very grateful for the time we've had together.
Yeah, good run. You're a good board member too, asking all those great questions. So. Thanks so much, dear.
And Ina Joe, just thank you so much. We appreciate the work that you've done here. And, you know, I think you're always fair and wise with the decisions that are before the board. And you have left a mark here, and you were here for such a time as this, really, you know, and we appreciate the work that you've done here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tony. Appreciate you too.
And there's more,
Oh,
because
no.
after we are done here, then we'll retire for a reception in your honor.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it.
So I want to take the privilege as we move to adjourn the meeting. We normally don't gavel, but I want you to gavel with me.
Oh my gosh.
So we'll hold it. So I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second,
My last second. Oh my
all in
goodness.
favor, aye?
Aye.
Recommending directives as we go to